Draft boards are all over the place, and the Kansas City Chiefs have more opportunities than we originally thought. We're going to get into it tonight. This is Chiefs Breakdown, the mock draft edition here on RGR Football. Welcome back, friends and neighbors. This is the breakdown here on RGR Football. And we got to go through a mock draft tonight. We're going to get to that as well as a little bit of other information. I want to touch briefly. If you missed my members video, you members should see it in your queue there on the playlist on the channel. A little bit of topic about what the pursuit of Calais Campbell actually meant and the fact that we could see the Chiefs be more multiple this next season than we originally thought. I want to follow up on that a little bit because it opens up the possibilities along the defensive line, both edge and tackle positions as we go through this mock tonight. So something to keep in mind, like the Chiefs can be more multiple than we've seen in the past. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because there's a couple of players in particular that I feel can be 4-3 edges and can be 3-4 D tackles, 5 techniques that are heads up over the tackles and still be functional. And I like that kind of back and forth, keep the offense on its toes and be more of an attacking defense. I think that's the cure for the Kansas City Chiefs. We also have to make sure that we get Patrick Mahomes his weapons. Got to expand that. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. That's basically the way that this works in what is the arms race of the NFL now on the offensive side. One that the Chiefs have been in the lead for a number of years. Now some teams are starting to catch up, especially with the departure of Tyreek Hill. Got to replenish that and got to keep that in mind as we go through what happens here in the mock draft, because there's not much left in free agency. There's still some options, and there will be some more after the draft as well, but there's not a ton. It gets very, very thin, and fit is hard to find at this point. So you got to focus now on the draft and getting what you need out of it and the priority free agents that you get after the fact as well. So that said, if you're new to this channel, make sure you like this video so that you get us the oomph to get out to the rest of the Chiefs Kingdom and NFL fans. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because that helps you see more of it and helps us grow our audience so that we can do more things for you. And make sure you hit the bell so you get all the notifications because things like this are going to be notified as we go along. I have a great series coming on some of my favorites. We're launching the Substack this next week. I hope to have it ready by Monday night's stream. So be there for that. That's live at 6 p.m. Central. And there's a lot going on. You need the notifications to find out about that. So as we get into this, what I've set up here is just a full mock draft for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're going to let the computer kind of come to us. I know I did trades the other week, and I might do another one here later this week as an additional trade scenario because things are starting to heat up from what I hear about teams willing to move back and around and the Chiefs interested in moving up. Kind of what I've talked about before is splitting those picks, going up from 29, coming back from 30, spread those out a little bit, knowing that you have 50 and 62 to either trade away or stack up with. So I think there's a lot of options there. So I'm going to get this started and let the computer go through. And this simulator is going to give us most likely a couple of trade offers like this one from the Texans, which as I hear is more and more of an actual reality as an option. A couple people down in Houston have been letting me know that the organization there is thinking about moving out of 13. Now, I just mocked them for the Locked On NFL Draft show tonight, Sunday, to get an edge rusher there. So that becomes important. I'm going to counter this so that we can go look at what the board is right now. And so what we see is Trayvon Walker goes, Hutch, Trayvon, Thibodeau go in the top 7. Not unexpected. Jermaine Johnson goes at 10. And so that is the kibosh for me. Because what you see at edge now remaining is not what I'm interested in. Karlaftis is not a guy that I think should be in the first round. He's not a guy that can be dynamic for you. He is a power rusher. He does have good hands, but I don't see enough to play in the Spagnuolo defense, period. Even if I wasn't, he could be a 5-tech and a 3-4. I don't think that maximizes him, but I don't see enough for me. He's a second-round pick on my board all day long, and you guys will be able to see my board at the new Substack here coming up later in this week and all through not just this draft, then all off season as we go through our continued dive into the next draft and the next draft and the next draft. That's going to be a fun new thing that we do here as part of our GR Media. So that brings us back to Boye Mafe, Ajabo, Cam Thomas, Ebiketie, all those guys that we think should be available at the Chiefs picks as they originate right now. So trading up for edge is not an example of what I want to do right now. If we look, this is where it gets interesting because I know you guys want wide receiver, and that's worth the effort. I think Drake London is probably not a fit in this offense. I just don't think they're going to like him. But at 13, now's here where you have the option of Jameson Williams. Of all the big ones, except for my number one, Garrett Wilson, who went 11th to the Commanders. So I think it's worth exploring the trade. And so what they're asking for is they'll give up 13, but they want our second and 2 7ths. That's a lot. And so I think we need to be able to get something back from them, like a 6th, which seems to be feasible. Can we get a 4th? Looks like that's even feasible. So if we're going to get to that point where we're going to pass up and move up, this is pretty good value. I think it's a little unrealistic. I don't think the Texans would actually move back that far for just a 2nd and a couple of 7ths. But I can't control what the board does, so I'm going to go with it because that's really all that we can do. So right now, we're going to send that offer. We're going to let them come back, and then we'll accept it. And now we're on the clock at 13, and we have the ability to select a player that I know you guys want. Now, this is where it becomes back and forth. And no, if you guys didn't catch on, I'm not live. I've got family things this weekend, so this is pre-recorded. But I'm just going to lead us through this. Tomorrow night, we'll discuss it, and then next week, we will do it live as a group. Everyone in Rogue Nation who wants to be on next Sunday night, we will do that. Now, for me, I like Drake London. I do have him up there in my top 4. He is, I think, number 3 overall. But I have Jameson Williams ahead. So, and I think, obviously, we've all talked about what the explosiveness adds to this offense. So it really is the purpose of doing this is to select Jameson Williams. If it wasn't going to be one of the top 4 edges, it needs to be an explosive player on the offensive side. We're going to take Jameson Williams and put him on the Chiefs roster. And I don't think they're done at the wide receiver group either, because they've been kind of holding their breath, waiting for things to come through. And I think that that's something that we can continue to bolster as we go through. Now, the Bears want to move up to 30. They're offering something that isn't very appealing. So I doubt that I'm going to do that, especially when they want to swap thirds. That's just kind of silly. Terrible offer there. But this is the backside. You know, this is what we get versus the trade that we just had. So if you want me to move back 9 spots, you gotta let me move up a little bit here in the 3rd, and they don't seem to be into that. Especially if I take that out, we'll see if we do. So that would be interesting. Moving back 9, that's still good range, like we were talking about. Splitting back to 30. We'll take a look at the board here in a second just to make sure. But if we got to move up from 94 to 71, that would pretty much boost us back really close to where we were at 62 and move back up. Now we do have that extra 4th. So that is helping. We're going to get to make our selections. And maybe we could even, rip something else away from the Bears. I doubt it because they are pretty desperate for picks. But let's take a look at the board and decide if there's anybody that we want right now. Treylon Burks is there. We've covered the wide receiver group. Since we've done that, I don't think there's any need to push that continually. Boye Mafe just went off the board. That's unfortunate. I'm guessing Ajabo is still here. So, yes. It has to come down to that or Dax Hill, in my opinion, because you need to have edge rusher coming up. And I think there's more depth at wide receiver. So at this point, I would say that the bigger value, because when we look at edge again, it turns to Ebiketie. Could get Cam Thomas. I do like his fit. I do think he's going to be actually more in the 45 to 50 range rather than 60. So we still have an option for him. So that's where the risk comes down. Do you take Ajabo now, or do you take Dax Hill, try to fill that, and then come back with either Ebiketie or Thomas if they're available? I can be okay with either of those at 50. I would lean towards Thomas. Ebiketie's good. I'm not impressed with his hand usage yet. He has a ways to go, but I would say Ajabo is more advanced than him, but obviously the injury question. So I think what we do now is we take what we can get and feel assured of it. And for me, that's Dax Hill. So we'll put him on this roster. Now you have a nickel corner that can slide back to robber, that can play with Thornhill and Reed and give you that dime package of safeties that the Chiefs really love to use, and we'll see where that goes. Now, we're not going to entertain any more trade backs, is my thought. So what did we see? We saw Ajabo go at 40. So again, we could have had him. If we trade back with the Bears, we probably would have had him there as well. Ebiketie goes. And so that does leave who I thought was the better fit on the board at edge, and that is Cam Thomas. Now, Cam Thomas has a ways to go, just like everybody at this level. If you're not one of the big four, you are somebody that does have progress that you have to make. I like his upside. He fits in the Spagnuolo realm. He can drop at a 268-pound defensive end that plays with power. So he's a nice combination of what they're looking for. I think that's a really good fit. You guys have seen me do that before, but I'm going to take him here at 50, and we're going to fill that need. So this is where we're at so far. Jameson Williams, explosive wide receiver. We get Dax Hill to cover in the nickel. Let's let L'Jarius Sneed stay outside. And then Fenton and Baker are now battling for the third spot. Still could bolster that as well. We're ticking down here to our next pick. And the Patriots want to move back from 85 to 90, and they just want a seventh to do it. So let's take a look at what the board has for us. And right now, we have the second tier of edges. I don't think we need to double dip here yet. Let's take a look, though, and see what's here. Channing Tindall, the linebacker. He is a downhill monster, not a turn and cover linebacker. So in terms of a power Sam, somebody that you can then send off the edge, I do think Quay Walker's a little bit more honed in terms of coming off the edge. I'm guessing Quay has already gone, though. That would be a pretty solid guess, is my point. Yeah, Quay went way earlier. Harrison Muma went at 60. Good for us to remember. Chanel Asamoah, Troy Anderson. So the coverage guys, except for JoJo Dorman, have gone. And JoJo's an option later. I don't know that you have to push that selection right now. And so I'm not going to. We're going to take what's best on the board. And that comes back to Derry Beavers here is overrated. I do not like him here. Benito's another edge rusher that comes with speed that doesn't have the power edge. But if we're trying to diversify the kind of edge rusher the Chiefs have, he's an option. Drake Jackson went to his pro day on Friday and did do all the drills. I don't have numbers on him yet, but he is up to 270 pounds, played at 253. More of the body type that he was as a junior and younger, right? Or a sophomore and younger, I guess, is his junior year. I just don't feel like the weight that he put on is good weight. Watching him run his pro day reminded me, quite frankly, of Breland Speaks, in that is, try not to overreact to that similarity, but I'm not sure that what he's put on in terms of weight to get back up, to be more of a full-fledged edge rather than a 3-4 outside linebacker, I don't know that it's good weight. And it doesn't look enticing to me. So the question becomes, do we get a different type of edge in Nick Benito? Do we look at Tindall as an attacking linebacker? Do we then look at the safety group? Because it's got to be pretty thin at this point. It was not a priority for me personally, but another guy that can come in and play the robber, can play a little bit of everything, is Damari Mathis. A great speed guy. JT Woods, really, really good in terms of what they're giving up. And it looks like these rankings have finally been updated to the point that Brian Cook already went off the board. That's more realistic. He is a third-round pick. I was hoping he was here, but he's not. So we have to keep that in mind. Don't need to show the drafted here. So we have edge, we have linebacker. We do have some of the tight end prospects. I don't think there's any reason to jump on them right now. What's attractive to me is having backup tackle, having some of the second developmental edges. I know you guys like Sam Williams. I think what Dan showed you in his film room last week should really kind of set us that, yeah, maybe third, probably fourth round for Sam Williams. Tyreek Smith is also there. Let's see. We have Mathis. We have the corner. Goodrich. He's a little guy. Also would be like a second nickel. D'Angelo's going to be there. That's great. Zion McCollum. He's a guy that I'd like to target very, very raw. His film is probably fourth round, maybe a little lower. His athleticism puts him into the third. So here coming up in the next couple of picks, I could see that happening. So let's pass on this trade. Let's resume and let the picks come off, and we'll see what's there when we actually pick, except, of course, it skipped us. This is a problem with this mock machine. You guys have seen it before. It's infuriating to me, but there's nothing I can do about it. So what we saw is a couple of guys come off that we were talking about, and that was Drake Jackson, Damari Mathis, Lucas, Tyndall. Saw Strange go. They gave us James Cook. And if you're going to take a swing at a running back, I can live with that. That he's a nice fit. He is kind of a home run hitter. And I think for value, I'd like to see Ford in the fourth rather than Cook in the third. But again, this machine has done it for us. We can live with it. So we're going to let this continue to tick down to our next pick, and we'll make up for it what we can there. Unfortunately, Sam Williams and Myjai Sanders just went off the board. That is difficult to see thanks to this problem. Tyree Smith is a decent power edge. Again, developmental, but another guy to come in. I would take D'Angelo Malone over him. I will tell you that. If that's what it comes down to, that's what we'll do. But looking at the inside, Fidarius Mathis is here. I think this is a good spot for him. Let's see. Jesse Luketa is, unfortunately, not the good hybrid, but the bad tweener, in my opinion. Like, I don't know that he has a home, and I'm not sure that I see a path for him to develop into a home positionally. So we come back. Khalil Shakir, one of my favorite wide receivers, is here. Let's see, more running backs here. Alec Pierce is here as well. So we have that third-ish tier of wide receivers that I think are options. But I think let's go the route that we need to go and hope that we can come back. I'd be targeting Kobe Bryant maybe with our next pick. We're at 103 and 108. That shouldn't be a problem. So let's go ahead and double up on the edge and get somebody that can be a little bit more of a change of pace edge rusher. Not Tyreek Smith, unfortunately. Well, maybe we should take JoJo Domann too, though. We do want somebody that can cover, and I think that's probably the better pick. So let's do that. Give ourselves a coverage linebacker that can help what the Chiefs need to do on passing downs. We are going to decline any trade offers at this point. And we did miss out on Shakir dropping back to 108. The interior guy, Zach Carter, I think that was a good spot for him. That was value. I'm fine with that. So now we're back, and we're deciding between what our next picks are going to be. And that is 108, and then we have to wait till 121. That's the only concern for targeting Kobe Bryant, is maybe we have to take him here rather than waiting. And I do want to fill more of the corner spots. I want to overbuild the corner group with second-tier players that can then arise to a starter-level type player. But we also have to backfill the edge group. And so Tyreek Smith is here. D'Angelo's going to be right on the edge of going. And if we don't get that, then we come back with Zion McCollum. Those are our three that we're trying to get between now at 108 and our pick at 121. So this is a risk. But with three of those selections, I feel like we can probably get that done. Maybe we should look at trading a little bit, but not with the Jaguars, that's for sure. Maybe with the Commanders. See if we can get another pick in that range. I think they have some. I cannot remember the entire order for them, though. No, I was completely wrong. So that's not going to happen. So we're going to be stuck taking this pick. We filled out a number of things on the defensive side. We have to keep that in mind because there's still more work to do. So Tyreek Smith, I'm not going to take him now. I'm gonna rather gamble on getting D'Angelo Malone and then trying to hold on for Zaire McCollum if I don't take Kobe Bryant right now. And that's the question mark for me. Oh, wait, did he already go? Maybe I don't even have to answer that question. No, he's actually below McCollum. So I do feel good about that. So what we're going to do is double up on the edge. We're going to take the guy that I actually have rated a little bit above Tyreek Smith in D'Angelo Malone from Western Kentucky. He is part of the triumvirate there, the law firm of Zappy, Stearns, and Malone. Now, I want to give you guys a reminder. I'm going to be live streaming on Roku and a bunch of the streaming services via the Tegna website. As we broadcast from Dallas, Texas, I'll be part of the live draft show. You can watch there. You can also stream it on the Locked On NFL YouTube channels. So you'll be able to see that across the board as well. It'll be me, Crocker, and a bunch of people running down this particular draft. Now we're back on the clock at 121. And we're going to come down to see what we have remaining. It looks like Zion has gone. And want to make sure that. Yep, he went 2 picks after our last one. So we're okay. We're in good shape. And we're going to take Kobe Bryant, Cincinnati corner, that fills out our need. And now we feel like between Baker and Fenton, we have 2 other rookies coming in to compete and get playing time. We have a corner group that I think you can feel good about. Are they done? Not necessarily, but you can feel good about where they are right now. Now we're back on the clock at 1:35. And we still have a couple of things that we can accomplish in terms of helping this team out. This is where secondary wide receiver comes into play. This is where backup offensive tackle comes into play. The most athletic one left on the board is Zach Tom, so he is an option there. This is where I'd be talking about Jerome Ford if the machine hadn't already taken Cook for us. So that's unfortunate because I think this value for Ford would be much better, to tell you the truth. You know, Dan and I both are high on him. And I think he's starting to get more love from the national analysts as well. So let's take a look specifically at the wide receiver group. Danny, let's see, Justin Ross is still, he's going to be a value pick, but I think he's actually going to go in this range rather than the 188 that he's stacked here as. Tyquan Thornton would be somebody that you could take a look at. Sleeper guy, Tanner Connor, is kind of a hybrid wide receiver tight end. He'd be a really nice fixture in this. Reminds me in terms of like functionality what Jody Fortson was coming in. A guy that lined up outside, split out as a wide receiver a lot, but then came in and learned to block a little bit as well. Don't have a ton of film on him, but I'm comfortable with that. And then obviously my guy is way down here, Jarrett Stearns, who will make a roster. I guarantee he might be a priority free agent for somebody. He is going to make a roster, though. I feel very confident in that. So let's see. So we have options at wide receiver. The offensive tackle here is Gadecki is here as well. Dan is super high on him, higher than I am, but this is certainly within value range. He can play in at guard and he can play right tackle. He's super athletic. Zach Tom, I think, is more athletic, and I like him better as a prospect. So I would lean that way. Now, I do have to verify what our remaining selections are. We have this, and then we have a 7th rounder. That is it. So the question becomes, do we want to fill in the offensive tackle spot? Do we want to give Patrick Mahomes another weapon? That's what it comes down to. And I am torn, quite frankly. So I think what we'll do is we'll stay here. We've made enough trades. This video is going long as it is. So I think what we should do is take the best available tackle, fill that in, and have another swing available. So Zach Tom's going to go to Kansas City. Now we're going to wait a long time. And we're going to be one of the last picks in this draft here in the 7th round, as we haven't traded one of the 7ths away. And we're going to take the best available player, period, and just add them to the roster, let them compete, see what they can do. I have a feeling it might be somebody that I know. We'll see if that's the way that it works out. And if it is, that's why I'm very comfortable doing this, because I have that confidence in a couple of guys that are going to be very late, 6th, 7th rounders that I do feel can make rosters, even the Chiefs roster, which when you take a look at it as a whole is not as strong as it used to be. It is not that spot where you can say, oh, rookies are going to have a hard time making this roster. That's not the case. There are multiple positions that rookies are going to make this roster that aren't top 100 picks. That's the key. So we're trying to fill that out. If you're new to this channel, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel right now so you don't miss anything else. And that notification bell, click that thing on, because that helps you know when we put new things out. And I have a couple of new series coming out. We're going to have some shorts. We have a lot of information to dispense between now and draft day. So we've watched it all go off the board. We are now on the clock, one of the last picks in the draft at 251. One of the guys that we were talking about, Eric Izukanma, I have to make sure I learn to say that, who has visited with the Chiefs, just went off the board. That's unfortunate. Kevin Austin went off the board. Tan Connor, the guy that I was talking about that I thought would be here, just went off the board. And that is sad. I'm disappointed in that because I was kind of looking forward to making that pick. So what we have is Torrey from Nebraska, I think, is a really interesting option. Jerrion Ely is an athletic running back. If we hadn't already taken what I would say, do this here. That certainly makes sense. Let's see. Myron is another edge from Notre Dame that I think is more power than he is anything else. But that could work as well. Noah Ellis is a really intriguing but raw interior defensive lineman from Idaho. He is an option here as far as I see. And then it comes down to my guy and Dontario Drummond, who has fallen down the draft charts. I think there are some concerns in his background evaluations. Nothing that I can point to concrete, but I have noticed he's falling down quite a ways in everybody's eyes. So, Ty Freifogel is still available as well. An interesting player from Indiana who does come up and make some plays. Trey Turner is iffy for me. I would select Toure or Stearns over him, but let's go with the local guy from Nebraska. I know you guys know that I would probably take Stearns if it were up to me, but let's try to bring him in as a priority free agent, and let's get on the phones with him while we take Toure and finish out this draft and give the Chiefs another sizable target that they can add to the mix. And this is the way that it came down for Kansas City. We traded up to get Jameson Williams and accomplished that goal. We came back and stuck with what was value at the time with Daxton Hill. Came back the next pick and sat still where the Chiefs were and got Cam Thomas. I think this is right about where it is, and I really love this fit for the Kansas City Chiefs. We got auto-picked, unfortunately, at 94 and ended up with James Cook. Good player. I wouldn't have taken a running back in the top 100. You guys know that. But if they were going to make a selection for us, that's pretty good. We could have done some very, very good things right about there, but it is what it is. We came back. We got JoJo Domann to help out with the pass coverage at the linebacker level. I think he can slide over and play some safety. Unfortunately, his usage falls to me a little bit like Dorian O'Daniel, and I got to see that spark to feel confident in him making this roster. So there is some tangible crossover there. We came back with D'Angelo Malone, a speed rusher, outside guy that can really get off the ball. He does need some teaching. You got to coach him up. But as a change of pace rusher versus the power edges the Chiefs have, I really like that combination. You can go NASCAR, and you could put Thomas inside. You could put Frank Clark inside. He can scream off the edge, and I'm very confident in his ability as a wide nine, in particular to attack the quarterback. Kobe Bryant, another coverage guy that is overlooked. He was the best corner in college football, got the award and everything this year because he plays opposite Sauce Gardner. That's why. This is a really nice guy that I think will come in and push Rashad Fenton for the third corner spot right away. Also, Zach Tom, athletic backup tackle that can swing, has a little bit of everything. I don't know if I'd put him in at guard, but he can play both right and left and gives you insurance for Lucas Niang if his injury streak continues. And then we finished up with Samori Toure from up in Nebraska, another wide receiver that I still has a lot of ceiling that he can reach that can help out the Kansas City Chiefs. So what I want to know is what you think. How happy are you with this particular draft? Are you really angry that it auto-picked for us? Are you upset with something that I did? I want to know your opinion in the comments. If you would leave them, please, that would be great. Also, what do you want to see us do the next time? Was this too much trading for you? Do you not like the trade up? Do you miss giving up the 62? That's important. We'll get into that. Tomorrow night, we will discuss it all and answer all of your questions on the Q&A live on Monday night at 6 Central, just like we do every week. That's going to be a lot of fun. Don't miss that. Again, if you're new, make sure you get into the rhythm. If you just joined as the memberships and you want to get into the Discord and get knee deep in all the conversation from Rogue Nation, just join at the Rogue Nation level, the rookie level, that is, so you can get in there and I'll get you in the Discord as well. A lot going on, a lot coming here as we gear up the next couple of weeks. Thank you for watching this one. Have a great night, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.